हाय फ्रेंड्स एंड वेलकम बैक। मैं हूं डॉक्टर गौरव गुप्ता, आपका अपना चाइल्ड स्पेशलिस्ट। टुडे वी हैव अ वेरी एक्साइटिंग गेस्ट ऑन माय प्रोग्राम, बट उनके इंट्रोडक्शन से पहले आई वांट टू इंट्रोड्यूस द टॉपिक। नाउ दैट्स अनयूजुअल आई नो, बट आई एम श्योर शी वोंट माइंड। सो आज आई एम गोइंग टू बी टॉकिंग अबाउट पिकी ईटिंग। You know, if I had $100 for every time some mother came and asked me कि मेरा बच्चा खाना नहीं खाता, well, I would be pretty rich, much richer than I am right now. So, picky eating यानी कि बच्चा खाना नहीं खा रहा है, this is a common problem जो पेरेंट्स हमारे पास आते हैं and they typically have children जो 2 साल से 5 साल के बीच में होते हैं. Now there are medical reasons for this. There are reasons जिसमें मैं as a child specialist आपकी मदद कर सकता हूं। अगर बच्चे का वेट नहीं बढ़ रहा, बच्चे की हाइट नहीं बढ़ रही है, and a child has got some other medical issues like anemia etc. Sometimes there can be certain illnesses like celiac disease वगैरह, लेकिन most of the times that is not the case. And now with that introduction I would like to introduce my co-panelist and a parenting expert, expert on Mom's Presso, on First Cry, and she has multiple books on Amazon as well. And she's a psychologist. Please welcome Garima. Hi, Garima.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me for such an interesting topic. I totally agree with you. Now my children are older, 14 and 10, but we've all been through that phase, and one of the commonest worries for moms.
Right. So, जब पेरेंट्स मेरे पास यूजुअली आते हैं anxious, you know the type, worried है, and we have all been through this actually. So they come and say कि बच्चा खाना नहीं खा रहा है, and you know जब वो 6 महीने का, साल का था तब तो बड़े आराम से खाता था, किसी बात पे नहीं करता था, and now suddenly he's 2 years and she's 2 years and she's completely turned around. It looks like it's a different child altogether, but they are not worried about the child's personality. Being Indians, most important we are worried about is बच्चा खाना नहीं खाता है. So I can just talk about the physiological reasons, यानी कि reasons क्या है from a medical perspective, and I'll like to start with that before I got on to you, because देखिए, from birth till 1 year, a child goes from 3 kilos to 10 kilos, यानी 7 kilos का weight gain. From 1 year till 10 years, a child is only going to be gaining 2 kilos every year. कहाँ 7 किलो, कहाँ 2 किलो. Obviously बच्चे की requirement कम हो जाती है. And same thing with the height. A child gains 25 centimeters in the first year, 12 centimeters in the second year. But from there on till puberty, जब तक बच्चा 10-12 साल का नहीं होता, वो सिर्फ 6-6 centimeters gain करते हैं, 2-1 inch every year. So from a medical perspective, I understand कि उनकी requirement कम हो जाती है. But a far more interesting, important, and something which we all miss is the psychological perspective, या जो हमारे दिमाग में, बच्चे के और पेरेंट्स के दिमाग में चल रहा है. And would you, Garima, like to throw some light on this?
So बच्चा खा नहीं रहा है, जब ये comment आता है, the first thing that I like to check is कि exactly problem क्या है, because it can take two forms, the way I see it. पहला फॉर्म ये है that nutritious food में बच्चे को इंटरेस्ट नहीं. So sometimes that is what they are trying to tell कि ये चिप्स फटाफट खा लेगा या कोला फटाफट पी लेगा, बट इसको दाल या सब्जी खिलाना बहुत मुश्किल है. Sometimes it's that. True. Sometimes it's a question of कि खाता ही नहीं, in the sense कि meal times में उसको कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं आ रहा होता. So one thing that I like to check is the gap that they are giving and the amount of sugar intake that they're giving to the child. तो एक हम सबसे पहले छूटते किस्म की वहां से शुरू करते हैं टिपिकली कि आपने उसको जब बिठाया खाना दे करके, तो उसके पहले वो कम से कम 1 घंटे से भूखा था बच्चा कि नहीं था. Because इसके बाद हम when we have information, then only we can process कि real issues कहाँ पर है और कितने गहरे issues है. Because ये जो topic है, it's so prevalent, but sometimes the issues are very superficial. It is simply कि उसको sweet इतना वो खा लेता है, they have access to toffees, candies, और just पाउडर होते हैं ना वो बॉर्नवीटा टाइप के, या फिर ग्लूकोन डी टाइप की चीजें, वो मदर्स रखती हैं कि भाई हेल्दी चीज है, इट्स वेरी हेल्दी फॉर द चाइल्ड. और वो खाता है. So then too much sugar is the reason, and there's nothing more that needs to be done. Only you have to monitor कि उसका sugar जैसे जैसे आप कम करते जाओगे उसकी भूख बढ़ती जाएगी सहज ही, because it's very natural. And similarly whether they got a gap or they didn't get a gap. तो अगर आपको लगता है कि उसने जैसे बोलना शुरू करा मम्मा भूख लग रही, तो आपने बोला ले बेटा पहले दूध पी ले, मैं खाने को कुछ बनाती हूँ. Now you've given milk and you're cooking और 20 मिनट में खाना बन गया, and you're like तू तो खा ही नहीं रहा, तूने तो कहा था तुझे भूख लग रही है. So these two issues can be resolved very quickly without delving into the psychological aspects for the parent and the mother. So this is, I think, where I like to begin. But your comment?
Absolutely. So we use the term food curfew, which basically means nothing to be given except water for preferably 2 hours jab meal khane se pehle. And I think it's a very important point in the history which we sometimes forget to ask. Okay, so this part is done. But now we have a situation where a child is not eaten or taken milk or any other liquid or any other sugary drink, but wo fir bhi nahi kha raha hai. So now how would you like to proceed?
तो उसके अंदर the deepest psychological issue that there can be is that it's a power struggle. It is a power struggle between the parent and the child. अगर आपने बच्चे को पढ़ने बिठाना है या नहाने बिठाना है, तो अगर वो बोलेगा कि मैं अभी नहीं नहा रहा या कुछ भी, तो आपको वो इमोशनली टॉर्चर नहीं कर सकता है ना. You will be, it's not that upsetting for a parent. Even grandparents, actually, a lot of times this power struggle is between the grandparent and the child. But the moment that child says, I will not eat, they will suddenly create a grip into your psyche. Now they have you wrapped around their finger. A question is, why does the child need you wrapped around their finger? What else is going wrong? So if you feel कि कहीं ना कहीं ये इशू हो सकता है, तो मैं जो पहली एडवाइस देती हूँ, see, I mean, I love to talk about the theory of all of this because that is the pure psychology, which is my favorite subject. But for you who is listening, you want कि ठीक है समझ गए कि कोई इशू होता है, करना क्या है. So if you're focused on करना क्या है, then if it's this that they want you wrapped around their finger, that means आपने खाने के बारे में सोचना स्टॉप करना है और खाने के बारे में तो बोलना भी स्टॉप करना है. Because the real problem is happening elsewhere. The real problem is happening कि जो आप और आपका बच्चा है, इसका जो रिलेशनशिप है, इसमें इक्वालिटी मिस हो रही है कहीं ना कहीं. So the child feels the need to control you. And they have learned that much earlier when you were trying to potty train them, then not going potty was their way of trying to control you. And now not eating is their way of trying to control you.
So would you say it's sort of like a attention-seeking behavior kind of a thing?
It's more than that. It's more than that. It is their way of telling that I'm the boss. I'm the boss of myself. You are not the boss of me. I can say that I'm not going to eat, and I'll see what all you start doing.
Okay.
अब क्या होता है कि अगर ये बच्चा कर रहा है लेकिन adult is not participating, then what will happen is, suppose for you, Dr. Gaurav, or for me, my child, if at 2 years of age says, I am not going to eat the sabzi and the chapati that you have made today, what will we do? We will say, कोई बात नहीं मत खाओ, 2 घंटे के बाद यही खाना मिलेगा. We don't participate. We don't start acting in the same play. So the story is over. They'll try 2 days, 3 days, and finally the story is over. This is not working. So they will leave it. But in some families where this awareness is not there, we have not talked about these things and not shared it, then with all good intentions, the mother starts participating in the play which the child has directed. So the mother will say, ये नहीं खाएगा, या grandparents will say, ये नहीं खाना है तो क्या खाएगा? अच्छा छोड़ दो, मत खिलाओ अभी, बाद में खिलाएंगे, मिठाई मंगा दो. So now people around the child have started participating in the play, and the child is now enjoying this. It is sustained because the child is enjoying it in some convoluted way. This is helping them feel better.
All right. So, what is the simple solution to this? You have already said that don't participate in it, but isn't it easier said than done? You know, we have all been through this.
Well, even when the mother had to get the child off the breast, for example, breastfeeding जब weaning करवाना था, that is also very hard. So this is another hard thing that parents have to do. I mean, there is no way out. अब आगे जाकर के उनको बोर्ड एग्जाम के लिए पढ़ाने के लिए it will be hard only to make them study more than they want to study. So it is hard, definitely. Goes without saying. I completely agree and accept. But it is another thing that must be done. Which simply, and in this case, it's very interesting because हमें हमारे बच्चे के behavior को change नहीं करना है. It's only our own behavior. So in that sense, there is more free will. I mean, there's more control. All I have to say is that ask yourself, very simple. Your child says, I am not hungry. You made the food and she's saying, I'm not hungry. Just ask yourself, do you want this same situation to happen again tomorrow? And then again the next day and so on? If you are sure you don't want this to happen again and again, then you have to change something that you are doing. You have to respond in a different way. And you have to make it boring for the child, not interesting. So there should be no chikna chillana, because chikna chillana is so much fun for the child. Oh my god, mom was so angry, she was screaming, the things were being thrown around. It's fun for the child. So no drama. There should be no emotional drama. It should be so dry. Your reaction, अच्छा आज नहीं खाओगे, ठीक है 2 घंटे के बाद यही मिलने वाला है और डिनर में ये वाली सब्जी है, सो देख लो. And be honest about it. Thirdly, just give them a gap. It is actually possible that your child was full. Unless this is a child who is always doing this, some days they're really full for no known reason. It happens for us also.
True.
So a little bit of respecting the natural hunger and fullness cues of the child will go a very long way. So this is one thing that we can do definitely, because it's in our control. It's changing ourselves, but doable.
Okay, and what is your idea about something which is very very ingrained into us as kids? हमारे पेरेंट्स ने तो यही कराया था कि प्लेट को बिल्कुल साफ करना है, झूठा नहीं छोड़ना है, बिकॉज अफ्रीका में कितने बच्चे बेचारे स्टार्व हो रहे हैं, बिकॉज एंड सो दिस इज अ क्राइम एंड दिस इज पाप लगता है इससे.
I know there is so much of the obesity can simply be attributed to this one thing that we were told कि खाना झूठा नहीं छोड़ना चाहिए. Now, is this wrong? No, of course. Why should we waste anything which is edible? Why should we waste food? Nobody wants to waste food. Lekin pay attention to what you have actually done. Most of the times, the parent, the adult has served the food on the child's plate. And now the child is responsible for finishing everything on it. When you do this, what are you telling the child? You are telling the child that she doesn't know anything. She doesn't know how much to eat, when to eat, and when to stop. And you are telling the child, I know, you don't know. This is one more way of playing a power game, where I'm telling the child, you are not good enough. You know, if I wasn't there in your life, so you won't even know how much to eat. Do we really want to give them this feeling? So my instruction is always to create greater independence in the child towards each thing which is necessary for their survival, and definitely eating is one of them. So we have to start, first of all, if I have served the food, तो मुझे वैसे ही उनको थोड़ा सा एक्स्ट्रा टाइम देना पड़ेगा कि ओके, was this too much? Are you full already? ठीक है, next time remind me when I'm serving you, I'll serve you a little bit less. I have to take responsibility for that wasted food. अगर बच्चे ने खुद सर्व किया था, again, don't say finish today. In the long term, your aim is that they don't waste food. But Today, every single meal, it is not your aim. So you have to train them to gauge how hungry they are and take छोटे छोटे portions. पहले थोड़ा ले लो, खत्म कर लो, फिर एक बार और ले लो, खत्म कर लो. This is a training. It will take time. So even though long term your aim is that food must not be wasted, every single meal it should not be done.
All right. तो अफ्रीका के भूखे बच्चों को हमें फॉर द टाइमिंग छोड़ना पड़ेगा.
Yes, otherwise we will all completely obese people go to Africa and Ethiopia and say, see, I did this for you. I have this big belly because of you.
Fair enough.
It doesn't actually help them, you know, if you look at it. It does not help them.
Yeah. Okay. So isse he related one common question which many mothers come and tell me, and I have experienced this with my daughter also, is that बच्चा अगर कम खाता है शुरू में at least, and then of course when you tell them it's your choice कितना खाना है खाओ, but you know you need to figure out your own appetite and your own satiety, but that's a long term goal. In the short term, what happens is as soon as you tell the child you can eat less, the first thing, at least in my experience with my daughter, kam khana hai aur bhag jana hai, and then obviously within half an hour the child is hungry, and we don't want to feed the child after half an hour. That's not the whole aim. The aim is to understand कि 2 घंटे तक हमें और कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. So जो वो hungry हो जाएंगे और जो समय भूखे हैं और temper tantrum हो रहा है, meltdown हो रहा है, what to do about that?
Yes, it's a very, very important and very powerful concept, because क्या होता है कि कुछ बच्चे, especially the ones who are very intelligent, या फिर they have a very physical intelligence, मतलब उनको move करना होता है, they have to move, उनको बैठ के अपने body को nourish करना, खाना खाना boring लग रहा होता है.
Yes.
Since it's boring for them, what happens is कि जैसे थोड़ा सा खा के थोड़ा सा वो pain of hunger खत्म होता है ना, they want to just run and do something more interesting.
Yes.
As a result of this, what happens is that they get used to feeling some light level of hunger all the time.
Right.
And the way the body is designed, unfortunately, it can become pleasurable to feel hungry.
Okay.
And so this becomes self-sustaining. So they do this in every meal. They eat a little bit less, just जितने की वो painful part कम हो गया, and then they run away. और जो थोड़ा थोड़ा भूख लगता रहता है ना, तो उससे चिड़चिड़ तो करते हैं, but that feeling slightly hungry stays pleasurable for them, जिससे कि बाद में जाकर के teenage में और बहुत सारे अलग kind of food के जो disorders आप study करते हैं वो हो सकते हैं. Not to scare anybody. But this happens is what I'm saying, and it's common.
Right.
हमें क्या करना है? Again, we have to have a long-term goal, and the long-term goal is that the child should learn how pleasant it is to be pleasantly full.
Okay.
And वो तभी होगा, एक तो हमको सारी distractions बंद करके खाना देना पड़ेगा उनको. तू मोबाइल देख ले, मैं खाना खिला देती हूँ, ये okay, very very tiny children में you can get away with it, but very soon, by 1.5 years, they have to be focused on the food. They have to be aware that they are eating when they are hungry. और उस वक्त हमें ये करना है कि जब वो खाना खा लेता है, बोलता है बस मम्मा पेट भर गया, मेक श्योर यू गिव देम वन मोमेंट वेयर दे से कैसा लग रहा है खाना खा के, अच्छा लग रहा है ना. सो दिस इज वन थिंग दैट वी फॉरगेट. एज एन एडल्ट तो मुझे मालूम है कि जब मैं खाना खाती हूँ तो उसके बाद मस्त, आई फील सो गुड, यू नो, माय मूड इज स्टेबल. And as a doctor, you know all that insulin ka process, that is why you feel so good, because your mood stabilizes because of the sugar level and everything. You know that. And many of us, especially the foodies, we are aware that eating makes us feel good. But for these kind of children who have a very kinesthetic intelligence, who want to just move, sitting itself is torture. To them, you have to gently guide them and tune them to have this aspect which they have missed. So naturally they will not have this aspect. Right. Now it's our job to train them कि देखो भूख लग रही थी ना, अभी खाना खा के अच्छा लग रहा है ना, feel so nice ना, do you think taking one more bite will feel even nicer? अभी first day तो नहीं I'm going. Don't be disappointed or disheartened. This is a long-term process. The second they'll say, actually, I think I want 2 more bites. Now I'm feeling good. और धीरे धीरे they will learn to just settle down just enough till it feels good to eat. And then the other issues will not come up. Now again, Dr. Gaurav, you've not asked me this, but I will say कि कभी कभी क्या होता है कि ये प्रोसेस पूरा डिरेल इसलिए हो जाता है क्योंकि बच्चे को ये पता है कि मैंने अभी खाया तो दाल चावल रोटी सब्जी खानी पड़ेगी, अभी नहीं खाया तो स्नैक मिलेगा.
Right.
Within half an hour to 1 hour, definitely snack milega, something which is tastier.
Yes.
So if we continue to do that, तो ये process नहीं possible है. It is not going to happen.
Parents की will power versus बच्चे की will power, and almost always it's the child who wins it, you know.
Yeah. So I guess we have to notice कि हम लोग सब एक ही टीम पे हैं. It's just that वो बच्चा जो है उसकी awareness नहीं है अभी इस चीज पे. That this food is nourishing me and it's making me feel good. It's making me feel strong. It's making me have good immunity. You will be surprised as soon as the child is like 3 or something. You can start talking to them about immunity. उनको बोलो देखो तुम, and oh okay, this is one trick that I love to give the parents. Make sure your child is not watching right now, because this is where हम उनको, we talk to them as if they already have the quality that we want them to develop. Okay, अब हमारे केस में we want them to have the quality कि वो अच्छे से nutritious food खाते हैं.
Right.
So we talk to them as if they already have it. And we say, देखो, you're so small, you know, you're only 4 years old, but you eat such a good diet, so nutritious, and you become so strong. I know so many other 4-year-old children, they fall sick every month, but you don't fall sick because you're eating so much nice, nutritious food every time mommy makes you eat. You never say, I will not eat. You never do nakra only, you always eat. ऐसे करके उनको आप give them a self concept that they are a good eater.
Rather than telling them that they are a poor eater and reinforcing that.
Absolutely, because a child will be forced, without awareness, they are forced to live the labels we give them. अगर हम आलसी है आलसी है आलसी है बोलते रहेंगे तो उसको एक दिन मन भी करेगा ना कि मैं दौड़ के दरवाजा खोलूं, उस जगह यार मैं तो आलसी हूं ना, ओके लेट मी सिट. उसकी इच्छा भी होगी तो वो नहीं करेगा in order to conform to the label we pasted on their head.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. I think all of these tips are wonderful. We have, I mean, there are other things I guess that they can, help with, but for example, helping to cook the food, helping to touch the food, helping to buy the food, and those kind of things are also quite important. But I think another important thing which we have probably not discussed is that we have to also be a good positive role model. We have to, walk the line. I've seen mothers who say, बच्चे को हमारे हरी सब्जियां खिलाओ, and then ऐसे आप कितना खाते हो? Well, then they're all down. और बच्चे को coke नहीं पीना चाहिए, and the mother is drinking 4 liters of coke in a day. So I guess that's also kind of important.
So remember in the beginning I said that I like to bifurcate them in the beginning itself, whether वो nutritious food नहीं खाता या खाना ही नहीं खाना चाह रहा होता है.
Right.
So
Right.
this comes where कि nutritious food में उसको interest नहीं है. अगर ये आता है ना, then always the first question is आपको कितना interest आता है. So many parents are eating nutritious food just because of a fear कि मैं बीमार हो जाऊंगा. And of course children don't fear about the future at all. So you cannot make them scared about tomorrow कि कल को तो बीमार हो जाएगा तो आज को तो कुछ खा ले. They don't do that. So that everything with the child has to be a joy. It has to be a celebration. So food has to be a celebration. So this what hint you are giving it. We talk about the relationship with food. Now I've written a book called The Body Nirvana, more than just a weight loss book, which is for adults. But this is the relationship that I talk about. We have to heal our relationship with food. So how wonderful it will be if our child as an adult never has to heal this relationship because it hasn't gone bad at all. So ये हमें as a parent करना है. Yeah, you have a question, you're saying?
No, I was just saying कि then they don't have to buy your book, even though their parents might have to buy it.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, one of my best friends runs a parenting seminar, and she calls it, parent in a way that your child does not have to get over their parenting. And I'm like, that's hard.
Right.
So this
Yeah.
relationship with food can be healed by growing your own food. उस मिट्टी में हाथ डालो, seeds डालो, उसको grow करो, उसको तोड़ो, उसको खाओ, कच्चा खाओ, पालक कच्चा खाओ, हरा धनिया कच्चा खाओ, उसको खरीदने जाओ, उसको खुद ही हाथ से धो और काटो और कुक करो. That depending on कि आपके बच्चे को कौन सी सेंस ज्यादा पसंद है. A lot of children like squishy things, so let them squish the atta and make some kachi pakki roti. Get out of their way. It is very natural to love food and interact with food, so just get out of the way, stop having a power struggle about it, and let them fall in love with food.
Yeah, I think from all of that, what you've been telling me, it seems like जो हमारे अपने hang-ups हैं, the hang-ups about food that we have, वही हम बच्चों के ऊपर डालने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं.
That's so true, na? So true.
Very true.
We just have something fun.
Yeah, I think. Do you have anything else to add about this? Because I think it's been a wonderful insight into something which, as a pediatrician, we never really talk about with the parents. But I think it's a very important component of picky eating.
So just as a takeaway, if there is one thing that you remember and forget everything else, let it be joy. Joyfully, whatever you want the child to do, let there be so much joy around it. Let meal times be a time of great joy. जब आप लोग कहानियां सुना रहे होते हो, म्यूजिक लगा हुआ होता है, सब रिलैक्स्ड होते हैं, बातें कर रहे होते हैं, let it be a time of great joy. 90% problems will be solved.
Yeah, but to get there, for it to be joyful, you need to follow the other things that we have been talking about.
That's what it is. So simple to be happy, but so difficult to be simple.
On that wonderful note, I would again like to thank you, Garima, parenting coach, author, and she's an expert on, again, First Cry, Mom's Presso, and you'll find her in many other places. So thanks a lot for sparing the time. We'll definitely have you back for some other issues as well.
Thank you so much. I hope some children go to bed with a much more relaxed meal tonight.
I hope so too. मैं हूं आपका अपना child specialist. This is Dr. Gaurav Gupta. We've had a discussion about picky eating. Obviously, if you have comments, anything which you want to share, subscribe, like. मेरा channel तो यही है. And Garima also has her own profile. I've shared it here. I'll just share the Facebook page again. So you can go on Garima Parenting and have a look there as well. And she has her books on Amazon, which you can also buy if you want. So till the next time, keep sharing the love and make sure that your child's mealtime is also an affair filled with love. Bye.
Bye-bye.